Perfect. Yep. Um, yes, we are live. Okay. Again, welcome everyone to yet another session of the DevOps Bootcamp. This is the second session of the DevOps Bootcamp. We started off last month and then we had this break for the festive season, of course. Again, Diwali is there. So, again, happy pre Diwali, everyone. But we'll have back to back sessions now. Today is one of the sessions. And again, I guess tomorrow we have another session scheduled and we'll be continuing this, right? And so today's topic is networking. And networking is a critical part of DevOps. It's a fundamental thing that you should know before starting a career in DevOps. And Sambit will be taking that session. Sambit is currently a software development engineer at Tejas Network. And yep, we'll be leading this one up. Sambit, would you like to take this forward?
Yeah, sure. So, hi all everyone. Hope you all are in the best of health. And to start with, yes, I work in Tejas Networks, but not specifically in software. I work in infra development. So, in a little time, I'll tell you about how in industrial standards how networking is being done. So, I hope you people have some basic knowledge of networking. To start off, let me share my screen. So I have a little presentation with which it will be easier to cover a few topics, and then I'm planning to discuss, in industrial standards, what are the things that you need to learn, because I expect these people, if anyone is joining in networking domain, so there are many companies which intake people, and what are the technologies that they will be learning there, but what are the prerequisites that they need to have before joining as a full-time employee or as an intern, whichever they wish to continue. So I hope my screen is. I'm able to share the screen, right?
Yeah, but I think, yeah, it's visible. Perfect.
Okay. So I hope the page is visible.
Yep, it is. Maybe we can zoom in a bit, maybe. I think this works fine. No worries with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So I won't bore you with the little definitions that we have of networking. So I hope you people all know about networking. In 12th or 11th, you might be knowing about the definitions as it goes, like a collection of a number of networking devices, or you say what you call in technical terms as nodes, when they are connected physically or logically in any way to share data. We call it as a network. Yes. I hope you all are aware of it. So, what can be a basic example of a network? Can anyone say in the chats example of a so can the participant speak?
No, the participant can respond in chat. Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, everyone, whoever is attending the session, either in YouTube or community stage, there must be a chat option. You just move there and just write down your answers or your views, your
Okay. What is
questions.
the basic example of a network? I just want to know, as in what all they know.
Let's make this one a bit of interactive. I know you guys can't speak here, but maybe definitely can go and ping in the chat, right? That will be much better. Yep. Yes, so we have some answers coming in.
Network of computer enterprises. Okay. Cool. Cool. Darshan. Okay. Yeah. Any other people? Any other people? Any other example? Okay, I'll not waste much of the time while the participants respond. Internet is actually the basic way. Uh, so we are connected through this video call. This is another network, another form of network. What are we sharing? We are sharing a video. We are sharing a voice that you call, which in general terms is called, in technical terms is called IPTV communication. Okay, voice over long term evolution. All these things are a form of network, nothing else. So from these definitions, we let us discuss few other things about networking. So the purpose of network, what we do is called sharing of data, right? Data of any form. It can be a simple file, text file, any other form of resource, like you connecting to a printer to print something out. That means you are connected via a wire. So that is not nothing but a network. Now we are connected to each other to discuss about networking. So I'm sharing my video, I'm sharing my audio. So it is also a form of communication. We are also a network. Okay. Now, this is the basic definition as of what networking is. Okay, and what are the advantages of network? Yes, the most basic, the two most basic usages are, one is connectivity, of course, and the other thing is data sharing. So these are the fundamentals of what networking is. Like we say, what basic needs of networking. Now, coming to how what are the types of networks that are available. Now, at your level, we can understand networks being three types. Okay, one is the local area network. Now, what is a local area network? If you people work in your laboratories, okay, in your college labs, so every computer there is connected to each other and also to a main server room. You might be having something. So this part of network, a very small network, there are limited number of computers and they all are placed in a very vicinity of a particular room, or maybe one or two rooms included. So that particular example is a what we call it as local area network. That is local, very limited space, a very limited area is there in which a number of devices are connected. Okay. Then we come to a bigger network. Okay. Now local area network. If you work in your company that you are willing to work, now they will be having their own network. Their computers will be connected to some form of Wi-Fi or some Ethernet network, and you can share data. Any of the any of the devices that are connected to that network can share the data. Okay, so it is a form of a LAN. So an organizational network, that is an example of a LAN, a laboratory network that you have in your own labs, in your college labs. That is a form of a local area network. Okay, coming to the next form of network, which is the bigger one. I mean, if you see a collection of such organizations, let's say there are n number of companies that are in a city. So let's say Bangalore. Now in Bangalore, you have many n number of companies. Now n number of companies will have their own networks, their own local networks. Now all of them must be feeding to some kind of a service provider from which they are receiving the internet, right? So that collection of networks is called as a bigger network. That is called metropolitan area network. Okay, let's say I work in Tejas Networks. I have a branch in Bangalore and another branch in Bhubaneswar, and let's say another branch in Delhi. So all of them need to also communicate with each other. Let's say one server is hosted in Bhubaneswar, but the details that are there stored in that server need to be accessed in Bangalore. How do you access it? You need a bigger network. That's not local area. That's called metropolitan area network. Okay, and bigger than metropolitan area network, what we have is called wide area network. And the only and biggest example of wide area network is internet. Okay, you are searching anything in Google, any of the resources that are available publicly, you can access that if you have the access to the internet, right? So you are basically becoming a node that is connected to the server. Like let's say Dhruv has just now shared some resources, like check out the syllabus at here, and similarly you can share your data. For the basic example I can give, let's say you have a Google Drive account. Okay, let's come to that. So you want some notes to be shared to your friend. Now what happens? How are you willing to share the data? So you will put it in your drive. You will create a file. You will give the access of that file to a particular person who is your friend. Okay, and he or she will be able to now access that. Now that becomes wide area network. The space where you have kept it is not local to you. Okay, if you have internet, you can access your drive, correct? And that driver location, the data that is stored in a server which is placed at the warehouse of the uh, data mining center of the Google, right? Gmail, correct? Google Drive. So, and that server, you have given a small part of that servers the access to your friend. Now it must have a link, some IPv4 or IPv6 link. Using that link, the person can access that resource. This is the basic form of communication and networking, and that is done by wide area network. Okay, getting everyone? I know it's not much interactive, but yes, you can use your chat box, right? That is one thing. Now coming on to the this is the scale of networks. Okay, the classification that we can have. कि network का classifications कितना हो सकते हैं. I hope you people are aware of it in U12. So I won't explain much of it. Let's come to uh, okay, this is the example of a LAN. Now, in your lab, you might be seeing that you will have a configuration like this where some computers will be connected in this format. There would be a signal box, okay, or maybe a printer or something. And on the other hand, there will be a server which all of these devices would be connected to, so that that server can control all of these clients. In the next example is this wide area network. So wide area network means intercontinental transversal of data without actually being connected to without actually the physical connection, right? अगर आपका डेटा कहीं पे स्टोर्ड है तो आप उसको नहीं बोलोगे तो गूगल के सर्वर वेयर हाउस पे जाओ, वहां पे जाके जहाँ पे डेटा स्टोर हुआ है एक्सेस इट फ्रॉम देयर, राइट? सो यू जनरेट अ लिंक and make it accessible to that person. Now he or she can access that. Okay. This is a metropolitan area network. Now I will come to this point. I will explain a bit more of this because this is the most important point जहाँ पे industrial applications होती हैं, the metropolitan area network. All of the companies that you hear of, like Cisco, like Tejas Networks or Nokia or Infinera or Juniper, these are some of the companies you can note down. You can research about them. Or when you graduate, when you're in third year or fourth year, you can apply for these companies, provided if they're hiring the freshers. So these are some internet companies. Okay, some maybe Dhruv, you can just type that in the chat box. All of these companies names that
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
taking in. One is Tejas, of course I'm working there. The other company is Cisco, Juniper, okay, Juniper. Then you have Infinera, then Nokia. All of these companies are product based companies. The first thing is that they work on products, and secondly they work on developing this metropolitan area network. Okay, like how a basic person can get the access to the internet, and how much speed would with what speed, and how to eliminate all the faults in the network. All of the works that are being done here, they work, these companies work in this metropolitan area network. What they develop these products, switches, okay, bridges, and these then the collection of all switches to handle it, a bigger servers, all of these. Okay, let me share the OneNote. Okay, now I believe the screen is visible, right, Dhruv?
Yes, it is visible. Yep.
Okay, so let's consider one thing. Let's say this is a building. Okay, this is another building. Let's say these are companies, okay, that need network. So they will access to this, right? They will need to have access in the form of wire or optical fibers or something, that they need the data, right? That they need to connect to the internet. So they will be connected to some way, so in some way to the internet. Like they will be having some gigabits of speed, right? Let's say here we have gigabits of speed, Gbps speed, right? I hope the letters are visible, right? And in some other phases of the city or the area that you are living, there may be societies or there may be individual homes. Okay, जहाँ पे let's say आपने छोटा छोटा communications चाहिए. For example, like Airtel has these plans. Okay, 40 Mbps speed, 30 Mbps का speed, and then 100 Mbps, like that. They have it. So they will be individually also connected to this network. So now this part of the network is called access. What we call it as access area network. Okay, in telecom industry it is called access. And then when these such networks, like there will be n number of access areas, okay, when they are connected to a bigger server, when these traffic, the traffic that comes from these areas, now they are collected into a bigger system that needs to collect all this data and transfer it to a bigger area. So this is called aggregation. Okay, we call it as aggregation. Or you can say, when in a city we can have let's say 10 or 20 aggregations, correct? Now this 10 or 20, there is a provider which provides all these internet services or IPTV services or any number of services. Now what happens, they don't have, it's not that they will have they will provide their services only in one city. This might be the condition of Bangalore. Now similarly you can have another aggregation network in another city, right, where you are connected to another few aggregations. So a collection of these aggregations makes one thing that is called metro area. Okay, metro area. And if a company is large enough to have many few metro areas, like Bangalore and Hyderabad and Chennai, they can be three combined to one area that is that can be called a metro. Okay, and in the above part, like in the northern regions of India, Gurgaon, Delhi, and Chandigarh, Amritsar, they can be another metro. So combination of these metros also need to communicate among themselves. Okay, like let's say this is a company which has in Bangalore, one location is in Bangalore and the other location is in Amritsar. Okay, now they are trying to access the data. How will they access it? How will there must be a connection, there must be a network through which they access it. Now this data will come in this way. First it will come from access level, it will come to aggregation. Now these bigger devices that are there, they will transfer the data. Now it come to the metro area. After coming to the metro area, collection of these metro areas, there must be a collection of these metro areas, they must be connected with each other. These metro areas, when they are connected with each other, they call as core. This is the highest level of connectivity. Okay, basically what happens, if you say in access you have megabits to megabytes per second, okay, of the data rates that you can say. In basic understanding, you understand in this way, in access area you have megabits per second to megabytes per second of speed. When you come to aggregation, you have gigabits or 2 gigabytes of data. Okay, when you come to metro or core, it's hundreds of gigabytes to terabytes of data that flows at a second. Okay, the traffic is large. Basically these companies that I have told now, these companies work on making these networks flawless. Okay, you can understand in this way कि अगर यहाँ पे एक भी छोटा सा फ्लो रहा, the entire network will shut down और ये कंपनी कभी अपने दूसरे सर्वर पे वो डेटा नहीं कर पाएगी. Okay, I hope I'm making points, right? I'm making some sense with this understanding, visual understanding. I know it's little dirty, but hope you are able to understand it. Okay, so these are the industrial standards in which companies basically work and design the products. So when I talk about products, it's actually these things, the devices that they make here. These are the okay, these devices that they make: switches, routers, then aggregation devices. After aggregation devices, they need some devices here, the core level. So companies like this work on these products and they develop these products so that they can be connected flawlessly and have a better networking environment. Okay, Dhruv, am I audible, right?
Yes, you're audible. Yeah, it's visible
Okay.
as well. Works fine.
Okay. And coming to the other parts, mm, so I think this part, the metropolitan area network, it is understandable to you. Now, site A, here you have telephone switch, you have workstations, you have routers, and then it is connected to a bigger switch, then to this entire cloud network. Okay, this is another site B, this is another site C. So I just expanded this IP network part. Okay, how this network is expanded and how the connections are being made. Coming to intranet and internet. So what is intranet? Intranet, the one particular word that explains internet is private network. Okay. What do you mean by private network? I just said that when you come to any other company, they will be having some resources that they want only their people to access. Okay, which they will be giving access via this STTP method. Okay, like few sites are accessible with HTTPS. Okay, and few sites are accessible with HTTP. Obviously, this site will not be secure. When you log into your browser, those sites will show that it is unsecure. Okay, it is not secured site, but these will be available only in the private network. That means if you connect your device to the company's network or some other network through any kind of VPN, okay, that means you are connected to a particular company's network, that becomes internet. Okay, when you will work after 2 or 3 years, you'll get to know that your company will be having its own network where you can access some sites will be blocked. Okay, and there will be private libraries, access to that only limited via that network. If you connect to internet like from your mobile or any other device and try to access those sites, that will not be available because that is intranet, only available through that particular but if you're connected to that particular network, then only it is available, otherwise it is not. And internet is worldwide system of networks. Okay, anyone can access Google. Even I can access Google, you can access Google. You can type something, search, I can type some other thing, or it also can happen that I and you both can search the same thing on the web and access the same thing and download the same thing. Okay, so this is the difference between intranet and internet. This must be, people might be having a little bit idea of it. Now, client and server computing. Okay, this is one of the most and largest form of computing as in networking domain. Like all the devices, they're connected in this way. Client server systems very vastly used, and to access this, basically we always access it through Linux systems. Okay, that means that we a server, and the server is hosted on a Linux platform. You can access it, like that server is practically present in some site. Now you want to access it, so you become a client to that server. Understanding it in this way, okay, let's say I'll give you an example, like work from home. It's a fashion in these days now. Most of the companies offer work from home, but how do you access those things? So let's say you would need particular information. It is in one of the computers of your inside your company. Now you are at your home. This place is in, let's say, Gurgaon, and you are in Mumbai. You are working from your home. Now you need to connect your device to the company's network, of course. Why? Because otherwise the service won't be available. Now after you connect to this, you also want to access this server. What you will do, the basic way how most of the cases you access it, you open your command prompt or something that can connect to a Linux server. You do SSH or FTP. These two protocols you use. Okay, right? I hope you people have idea about FTP and SSH. Okay, so assuming that you know, or shall I explain a little bit of it?
You just give a brief idea about association FTP both. Yeah.
Okay, so SSH means secure cell network. Okay, and FTP is file transfer protocol, like STTP protocol, STTP. Okay, hypertext transfer protocol, and similarly we have SSH and FTP. To access these client server networks, okay, this is a client. This is a server where the resources are basically placed, and you become a client to that server. To access it, you need either SSH or you need FTP, either one of the cases. Okay, there are few applications that you can use which enable the SSH and FTP usage very UI friendly. You can access it through your CMD. Okay, CMD command prompt. Okay, if you type CMD, you can open up CMD and you can access things here. Okay, The most basic command that I can say is ping command to see whether a server is accessible or not. Let's say we want to search Google. Okay, so www.google.com. I will just search this. Now you see you are getting replies from the Google server. Ping command is basically used to check whether a particular server is accessible or not. Okay, so you can check whether this server is accessible or not. Now this server might be having some IP address. Let's say what 192.168.2.23. Let's say, okay, assuming this is the IP of this particular server or the computer that has the data. Now you either do SSH or you do FTP. But to have this, you need a login credential. Okay, that is why we call it as secure. Okay, FTP is basically used for file transfer, and SSH you can actually access the server and make changes to it. In file transfer, you can basically add or extract files, but in SSH you can actually make modifications to the server. Okay, that is why, and it is more secure. So for learning SSH commands, there are many SSH commands. Okay, the basic way to access a server would be SSH. If you go to CMD, write SSH, then the user, okay, the username that is given by your company to you, the credential that you have, @ then the IP. Okay, this IP. If you have this, then you hit enter, and then it will ask for the password. Okay, it will ask for the password. You give the password that is there, you hit enter, and then you will have an active Linux panel. Okay, that using Linux commands, now you can make changes to this server. You can download the files, you can upload the files, you do whatever you want to do. If you are done with SSH, then you can what make changes to this file in a real-time environment. If you are connected to FTP, then you can only transfer the files, upload or download. Okay, SSH means secure cell. Okay, and FTP is file transfer protocol. I hope I'm making some sense, Dhruv. Can you just speak for?
Yes, definitely. I think we have also received few questions from the topic of internet and internet intranet, but maybe
Okay.
we can address it later on. Maybe after completing the entire agenda, maybe we can see the questions. Yep.
Okay, sure. So this is the basic way, and the application that you can use. Um, Mobile Xterm is one interactive way in which you can use this SSH and all the protocols. Okay. Okay. So okay. Coming on to the next things, peer-to-peer network. Now, peer-to-peer is actually a form of client-server network only, but the fact that it is made for very small or very simple and small networks, like two or four networks nodes need to connect among themselves, so they can have a peer-to-peer network. Okay, any device can access any other device's information, and but on a very small scale. Okay, that is called peer-to-peer network. uh, so this is a basic representation of the peer-to-peer network. All the devices, they can request and get a response at the same time. There's no flow or but yes, the security is less here, and also the traffic fault is more. Traffic fault, what I mean is the maybe device 1 is accessing some request to device 4, and device 4 is busy with some other thing. If the device 4 decides to give that resource to device 1 also, what happens? There may be a grind lock situation. Grind lock as in traffic jam, so the traffic may stop. Okay, that is the basic explanation of it. Client server networking, I already gave the example. Now network topology. So what do you mean by network topology? The basic layout of how a network has been designed. This previous example, now this is actually a bus design. Okay, that means this the network design, you can see all the clients, all the computers, all the nodes, what you can say, are connected to a single stream of line. This is a single stream, right? So this is a kind of networking topology, as in how the networks are being, how the networking nodes or the elements are being connected to each other, how they are being designed in the to communicate with each other. Now, if these are all connected, now these two ends are also connected, then it becomes a ring. Okay, that means all of them are formed in a form of a circle. So each has two adjacent sides. So we'll discuss a little more about these topology. Okay, so first we have bus. What happens in bus? Uh, what happens in bus topology is that there are nodes. Okay, these are nodes, and these nodes are connected to a main serial channel. This is called a bus. Okay, basically the logical overview of how nodes are connected, these are called topology. Okay, this is a node. Then we have a star. What we have in star, okay, first let's start with ring. What we have in ring is, let's say these are the same four devices. They decided to communicate each other in this fashion. See, they form a ring, they form a circle, but each has two adjacent sides. If this is node A, so B, C, and D. That means A is adjacent to B and D. So it can communicate directly to B and D, and if it wants to communicate to C, it has to go through B or D. Okay. So there are multiple paths of communication. For here, there is only one path of communication. If A wants to communicate to B, he has to send the signal or request to this bus, the bus line that is present at the center. That is why it is called a bus. Okay. Here it is called a ring. Then you have star. What happens in star? Uh, Star is actually very less used. Uh, Basically, it has no physical application as well. Star mostly applicable to nahi rehta, but is maybe I'm doing a bit wrong here. Uh, okay, this is a star topology. Yes, there is a switch in between. Sorry, I did a mistake over here. तो यहाँ पे एक switch रहता है. This is now outdated actually. Star is not more used. Okay, it is basically used for intra service switching. Intra service switching, as in few of the companies, like companies have departments. Let's say HR is one department, and um, what software developers, they have one department. Then R&D is another department. Then PV is another department. So they have individual networks, and they are connected via switch to each other. This is becomes a star. Then you have mesh. Okay, mesh is for smaller networks. Mesh is actually a blessing, as in these four. So they are connected to each other. All of them are connected with each other. Now, direct communication. A wants to connect to C, it can communicate directly. It doesn't need another via medium, right? So each network, each topology has its own merits and demerits. If you see this page describes everything. Coming to bus, so it's very cheap, obviously, and easy to install, but it is difficult to configure. And if the bus is, I mean, the middle signal, if that is disabled or it becomes faulty, then the entire network shuts down. No communication between any of the devices. Then you come to star. It is cheap, easy to install, but it is more expensive than bus, obviously. And it is also fault tolerant in the way that the switch that is present in the middle, it handles all the traffic. To from, like, if A communicates to B, it has to go through the switch. So switch will decide which whom to send the data. Okay, star is mostly used in intranet technologies only. I mean, inside a company or inside a organization, particular organization, they use the star for service switching. Coming to the ring, it is efficient and mostly used in laboratories. Okay, where not much nodes are there, but and every node can be connected to each other node. So they are so every node can connect to communicate to each other. But what happens? It becomes very expensive. Why? The wiring is more. Okay, and also for configuration it becomes difficult, as in how one node will communicate to another. The topologies need to be set in that way. This becomes difficult. Then coming to the mesh is the most simplest, as every node is communicated directly with each other, but it is mostly suited for smaller networks, because you cannot obviously communicate agar, let's say one place is in Bangalore and the other one is in Bhubaneswar. You cannot uh, drag that much of wiring. Okay, so this is all about what we had to discuss in it. Dhruv, can I add a bit more, like industrial standards, what
Sure, sure,
technologies
sure.
that they.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so in industries, when you come to industries, you'll be actually learning about what you'll be working on technologies that work on layer one. Okay, or layer two. Most of the companies have this thing that they work on layer one and layer two technologies. In layer one, you have OTN technologies. Okay, optical transport network, or DWDM. Okay, and coming on to layer two, you have Ethernet or GPON services, which has the maximum demand these days. And coming on to L3, you will be working in routing protocols. Okay, like OSPF, or you can say ARP. Okay, or IP. All those protocol, OSPF, this, the most common and the most vastly used protocol in L3 is OSPF. Okay, so that basically routing protocols. You will be working on that part. And if you're working in LT, I have not much idea about LT, but yes, it is another major domain, and it is most one of the most emerging domains that comes in wireless technologies. Okay, so make your intentions key. Where do you actually want to work? If it is L1, you need understanding of all, a basic fundamental understanding. And prior to joining any company, if you are interested in networking, then you need to have the ideas like the OSI layer. Okay, OSI reference model that you will be learning in probably in third years or something. And you need to have the knowledge about every layer and how every layer works: the physical layer, data link layer, network layer, all of there can be a extended video about it, a session about it. If you want, we can have it. But yes, and how data changes are being done, like digital transmission, how it happens, the line encoding, decoding systems, all of this you can note it down. You will be learning it more, but these are the few things that you need to have a stress on. Okay, and one other thing that comes is classless and classful and classless addressing. Okay, to that comes in IP, okay, Internet Protocol. You will learn about IPv4 addresses. There are 5 classes of addresses that are available, and you will learn about subnetting also in that. Masks, you will learn about address masks. You learn about address resolution protocol and reverse address resolution protocol. So these are the basic few protocols that you need to learn properly, as in it will be taught to you in your classes or something, or you choose to learn it from other resources as well, which will be also obviously a best way of learning it. But you need to focus on these areas. Okay, so that's it from my part, I think.
thanks so much, Sambit. I think we definitely got a bit of understanding about the basics of networking. And for the rest of the guys, okay, there were a few questions. I think you already covered the most of the points. So would
Mhm.
you like to take some questions? Like there are a few questions in the chat box if you see. What is the difference between the star and the ring?
What is the difference between?
Star and ring.
Okay, as I shown you here, I told you that star is mostly used in intranet techno, mostly, as not that you cannot apply it, but yes, it is mostly used there only. The ring is available right here. You can see it. So here, every node A, B, C, D, we have 4 nodes, and now 4 nodes are connected to each other in a ring. There are no devices other that guides this traffic. If A wants to communicate to C, he has to go through B or D. Okay, A doesn't know to where to go, but it has to communicate either to B or to D in order to communicate to C. Okay, so this is one of the ways in which rings communicate. If it has to communicate to B or D, it can communicate directly. It can send the traffic. Okay, some amount of data it can request, B can respond back, and things can happen. But to communicate to C, it needs to communicate, either ask B that please forward this data packets to C so that I can get a response. And now C will decide either it can send the traffic from this channel from B to A, or it can choose the other way around also. Okay, so data flow can be what it can be either this way or it can be either this way. Okay, but what happens in star, the basic difference that you can see is that now there are no direct link between the devices. There is no direct link, but all of them are communicated to either a bridge or a switch. Bridge is not used, switch is used in most of the cases. What happens in switch, I can give you an understanding of it. Okay, let's say these are 4, A, B, C, D. Okay, these 4 are there and they are all connected to the switch. Sorry for the very abstract drawing that I have, but okay. So now you can see A, B, B, C, C, D, or AD. No direct communication is there, but all of them are connected to this switch. What happens if A want to send the packets to B? That means A is asking for some amount of data from this B node. Okay, what happens? A will send the request to this switch. This switch now has all the MAC addresses. Okay, remember one thing: it stores all the MAC addresses and it knows that this is the first port, this is the second port, this is the third, and this is the fourth. So MAC address of A is connected to first, MAC address of B is connected to 2, C to 3, and D to 4. So any request that comes from A will contain the MAC address of B. If A is requesting some data, that means that payload, the data, will also be connecting with, it will be also coming with the MAC address of B. Now, when it comes to the switch, this address part is actually for this particular switch. The switch knows that MAC address, this address B is connected in this port B. So what happens now? That the switch will transfer the traffic to only this channel, this one, not this, because A wants to communicate to B. A knows the MAC address of B. Now A will share the data. This particular switch, the device, knows that the port 2 is the point where this MAC address is connected. So it will share that request to only this port. So security is maintained, and also flexibility in a way that if you see in this ring topology, if this, let's say this node is disabled, okay, this wire is becomes faulty, that remains only one way of communication. Okay, and if A has to communicate to B, it has to go through D, then C, then B. If D or C is busy, you cannot communicate to B. Okay, that is one of the ways, and also not secure, because if A is sending some packets to C and B has some evil intentions, then your data is at risk. Okay, I hope I'm making the sense, right? And I was able to give you the answer.
I guess so. Yep. So we have a few more questions. Uh,
Mhm.
like, could you describe something more about the DNS?
Okay. Domain name server. DNS becomes the domain name server. Now, I'll give you an example to explain it. If you are connecting, let's say you want to connect to a particular network, not that doesn't belong to India. Okay, you are connecting to another ISP. What do you do? What is the basic way that you do these days? VPN. Okay, no brainer. So you connect to the VPN. What you can do is that you can change your domain name, so address. Okay, basically it is 0000. Okay, random at random. You can just switch that and make it to 001 or 0010, something like that, and then you will be able to connect to what that will behave as a VPN only. Okay, I hope some I made some sense.
Yep, I
Okay,
think DNS is a much bigger concept, and
much bigger concept. I just wanted to make you the similarities between DNS and VPN. Okay, so that you can do, but DNS, as the name goes, it is a domain name system. What domain name system is? Let's say Google. Okay, now I ping to Google. My screen is visible, right?
yep, yeah, yep.
Okay,
Um,
so are you willing to remember this name, this particular thing?
no.
Of course, it's nothing but IPv6 address. Okay. Now, are you willing to remember this name or the Google one, which is familiar to you? Obviously, the letters. You don't remember. I saw 94381453392 at HSR layout. No, you saw I saw my friend Dhruv at HSR layout. You call it right that, or
Right.
you remember by the phone number. So this is the domain name system. So, the domain names are given to each of the IPv6 or IPv4 addresses that the servers have. In this example, previous example of SSH communication, it doesn't have a name, domain name, because it is not accessed over the web. It is not accessed over the web, right? It is not published. It is available in a private server. So you need to remember this IP in order to communicate to this. Okay, but Google is available entirely all over the world. If you have a what active internet communication, you can connect to it, but you don't have to remember this six what the IPv6 number. This is actually Google's IPv6 name. Okay, you don't have to remember it. You just have to remember Google. So every IPv6 or IPv4 address that comes in classless and classful addressing, you will learn about it. Uh, that is, if it is published on the web, it is given a domain name. Okay, a domain name is given to it. I hope I made some sense. It is a very vast topic.
Definitely, and I think we have another question, which is like, can we have more discussion on IPv4 and IPv6? Yes, I think like one session and 45 minutes is just not enough to cover the entire networking. So we'll be having another session where we'll be covering IPv4 and IPv6 as well in vast, right?
Good to know that people have interest in all these things. IPv4 and IPv6 is a good one actually, because if you people are interested in any form of IoT also, okay, or because networking is closely works with semiconductor devices. So if you and microprocessing as well. So if you want to work in that particular domain, classless and classful addressing IPv4, IPv6, and IoT is must.
All right.
So to understand that, you need to have the idea of it. But good to know that people are asking.
Perfect. I think, yep. So I don't know your name, VKUCF. We'll have another session to cover the topic, right? And yeah, I think that sums up for this session. I hope it was a learning one for everyone. You guys got
Yes,
the
if you want have any questions, you can connect over any professional site, LinkedIn or anyway. Okay,
right, exactly. And I think you can also join the discussion forum. I can share the channel
correct.
link as well. And I've also shared Sambit's LinkedIn account. You can connect to him in LinkedIn and ping him up. And I'm sure he's up for any queries anytime. So yeah, again, Sambit, thanks for joining us. Right, it is again a pleasure to have you with us all the time. Looking forward to have you again with another networking session, of course.
Yeah, sure. If people need it, then please let me know. We'll surely have it.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you,
Thank you.
everyone, for joining in. We'll end the stream. And if you have any queries regarding the bootcamp of DevOps, feel free to add that in the channel. And also share about your learning, share about what you're learning in the DevOps bootcamp, and use the hashtag DevOps with Commudle and tag Commudle and everyone who is hosting it. Yep, that is pretty much it for today. Thank you so much. Happy Diwali, pre Diwali, right? And yeah,
Yeah, happy Diwali to all.
bye bye.